who is Mike Waller, and why isn't he locking these people up longer than 30 months? What is the reason that he's letting them out?
Part of the problem, again, as we've already touched on, is the fact that he's pleading these cases out for these short sentences because of what he is quoted in the newspaper saying is there's just so many cases we have to push them through the system.
Yeah, but that's a different kind. For somebody that maybe, we talked about embezzled, or, you know, they stole something, that is a different case. I can understand maybe that case, 30 months or whatever you want to give these people,
right.
People that steal. But to me, the worst crime is a crime against children.
Right. Well, and let me point to another thing, too, is I think another problem is that I think there are not enough specialists to deal with crime victims in the state's attorney's office. And if I'm elected, I would propose to bring in a sexual offenders task force similar to what we have in Cook County. And that unit would be responsible for handling the sex crime victims. And because they would have special training, they would be able to understand the fragile psyches of these victims and because they'd be a better understanding of them, they'd be able to help them navigate the system, understand how the system works, and help them with their testimony, getting them to come to court. Mm-hmm. And because they'll be coming to court, they'll be more likely to testify and help the office secure convictions. And it might be less of a reason to plead cases out and get longer sentences.
Right. In Cook County, is there a different system? Do they still have the same system, 30 months, or is it a longer in Cook County than Lake County? Is it the same thing, or
the
what?
Sentencing system works the same way.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, is how far the same length of time right now? The
sentencing statistics, to my understanding, are not as low as they are in Lake County.
Mm-hmm. So they're stronger. They're much stronger. That's interesting. I wonder if they should make a law, federal law, or should it go state by state? And here we find out it's not only state by state, but it's county by county that's different. That's shocking. You would think of sexual offenders that maybe there is a law of, federal law of some kind that would do something, or at least a state law, but now we're finding out it's county by county. It's different.
Well, it is the state law, and it's up to the individual counties to do the prosecutions.
Right.
And you're left to the devices of the individual prosecutors in each of the counties to enforce the law and obtain the sentences and fight for the sentences in court as he or she is able to do. And it's my belief that we're not doing the good job that we should be doing here in Lake County.
And I think it's a good idea that you have a special type of attorney to prosecute these cases. I mean, it needs somebody that really understands, almost like a psychologist, psychiatrist, to understand the human behavior behind this type of individual. And if you have an attorney that understands what a sexual predator is all about. And now they just have a regular, maybe a family attorney or somebody that just deals with maybe they do property taxes all day, and they're working on this type of case.
Right, and it's not just that they understand what the sexual predator is all about. It's oftentimes that they have to be trained in understanding what the victim is all about and helping the victim understand what it's all about and gaining trust into the victim and understanding the victim's mind, because if you can't get the victim to trust you and cooperate with you, oftentimes that may lead to the problem and the need to plead some of these cases out.
Yeah, because if the victim is afraid to talk, then these cases just get, no one's there to argue for the person. Because sometimes the victim is afraid that it may come back and hurt them again.
Exactly.
See, if you're leaving somebody off in 30 months, what protects that person from, the guy could come back, and do it again to that family?
Right. Right. That's exactly what will happen.
In rape cases, this is like the same thing. Women are afraid to tell, who the perpetrator was, because they're afraid that they're going to, the man's going to come back and do it again and scare their family or do something to hurt somebody.
That's exactly the problem that most women feel, and that's why we need people out there, similar to psychologists, that will, gain the trust that's necessary to put these guys away for long periods of time.
For a long period of time. And I know you work with elder abuse, gangs and drugs, cyber crimes, identity theft, child support enforcement. We have just a few minutes left. Maybe you can give us, this half hour goes away so fast. I can't believe it. But, would you like to focus in on possibly on elder abuse again and how to protect elders? And now that we have gangs and drugs here, they're coming in from Chicago to here. What would you do as state's attorney for some of these cases?
Well, let me start with the gangs, and you bring up a great point with the gangs. As you're aware, the city of Chicago has done a great job trying to relocate some of their gangs. Over the years, they've been tearing down some of the high-rises where many of the gangs have located themselves.
The Cabrini Green area.
Cabrini Green,
yeah.
Robert Taylor Homes,
right.
Other low-rise projects in some of the outlying areas in the city. Mm-hmm. As a result, we've seen an influx of gangs into Mundelein, North Chicago, Waukegan, in the lakes areas, which are the the various Round Lake towns. Even in Gurnee, we've had gangs. And my hats go off to all of the local police chiefs because they have all developed these great responses and have made great arrests and done what they have could.
What would you do if you're state's attorney? How would you help with this problem?
See, that's where we need to go. We have to take that next step. We have to take that next step after the police have made these arrests. And I think what needs to be done is similar to what I've suggested with the sexual crimes task force. We need a gang crimes task force of similarly trained attorneys who understand the gang culture. We need a task force of 3 attorneys who are basically going to do nothing or except sleep, drink, eat, and breathe gang crime and understand the inner workings of how the gangs work in order to secure the type of cooperation we need to go into court.
And this would be also with gangs and drugs type of thing, too.
Right. With the attendant crime that comes with the gangs, which is the drug trafficking.
So it's interesting that if you became state's attorney, you would have specialized attorneys for sexual offender type attorneys, elder abuse attorneys, people that would understand gangs and crime, and which is something that we don't seem to have right now. They're just using any attorney that they can get, that's available that day, perhaps, to rather than somebody that's specialized in that particular crime.
And don't get me wrong, there still is a need to have a properly manned courtroom.
Right.
But with certain types of crimes, there is a need for specialists, such as you touched upon cyber crime and internet crime. That's a growing area as well. There is a need to have people who need to understand those high-tech crimes as well, because of the intricacies in moving things around. Same thing with financial crimes. If you don't have properly trained people in those areas, the criminals are getting smarter. They know all the loopholes, the tricks to get around. If you don't have trained people in those areas, chances are they're going to beat you.
Oh, that's good, and it's so glad that we got somebody that understands, somebody that's in office. It's not just going there just to get the job, but somebody that really understands about the job and what it's all about. After so many years in somebody that's in office right now, it's just that maybe just going and doing the same thing over and over, and maybe that's what we need in a lot of these offices is new blood. And somebody that'll bring in a lot of new ideas and new thoughts and ways to handle these cases. And thank you, Mike, for coming. And hopefully, if you do become the state's attorney, you'll be coming back and letting know what has happened and what's going on in the the next years of your life.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
In the